welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Okay, today is a review of something very important to myself and to Rich, or maybe, excuse me, more so to Rich, because I'm about to do a review of his all-time favourite perfume, so a little bit of pressure there. And what we're going to be looking at is the wonderful Vespero by Jeroboam. Now this to us is quite an important fragrance. It's got quite a unique story. And this comes about Rich and his obsession with Aventus. Now Rich has been a lifelong fan of Aventus, well, since its inception, I believe. And then one day, I think when Rich had just managed to build a cabin in the woods out of empty bottles of Aventus, you know, flacon after flacon after flacon, big bottles everywhere. He basically remortgaged 3 properties and spent his entire life savings and all his earnings as a rock star on Aventus. And then woke up and thought, why am I getting through so much of it? And then he realised he had a light bulb moment. He was getting through so much Aventus because the performance was dropping off and off with every batch he bought. Now as I said in previous videos, I've never bought a bottle of Aventus. I love the smell of it. But every time I get a decant from a different batch or whatever, it smells different. The performance is steadily getting worse. So hence, you know, we've done quite a few videos on Aventus clones. And then basically Rich found out about Vespero by Jeroboam. We both read a lot about it. Now Rich lives in the north, basically in an area that's very similar to the Thunderdome. So they don't have any shops or, no, I'm only kidding. Basically Rich, where he lives, there aren't many shops that sort of carry niche lines. So I took myself off into town, and I think this was Harrods I was in actually, to try it. So I gave it a spray and instantly fell in love with it. So much so, you know, I couldn't wait to give Rich a call and tell him about it. So I was on the bus on the way back, rambling down the phone very excitedly about how good I thought Vespero was. And by the time I finished the conversation, Rich had actually gone online and bought a bottle. And it is an amazing fragrance. So what we'll do, we'll have a little look at the notes. I'm wearing it as you would expect, and I'll give it a little spray now. Not too much. So here we go. And then we'll talk a little bit more, as I say, about the notes and, you know, how it performs and what it's like. So that's to die for. In the opening, you have bergamot, you have apple, you have pink grapefruit. In the middle, you have cedar, geranium, leather, and jasmine. And at the base, you have patchouli, you have amber, you have wood notes, and you have musk. I could quite easily give a really simplistic explanation as to what this smells like. I could say it opens like Aventus and then it turns into Tuscan leather. And that could easily be the end of the review because you would understand how this smells. But if I did that, I would be committing a crime against perfumery because there is so much more to this. This is fabulous stuff. It came out in 2017 and the nose behind it was Vanina Miccioli, or Michel. And this was in partnership with a guy called Francois Henin, who's a French businessman of Jovoy Paris fame. They set up Jeroboam as a house, basically. The inspirations basically are from Esperanto, the language which was kind of like a failed attempt to make a universal language in the 19th century. Never really took off, but you know, it's an important part of European history anyway. And the Jeroboam line are designed for urban nomads, which is quite an interesting thing. And the other thing is they all come in these 30ml bottles. They're extract de parfum. I don't know if you can see that on there. I mean, it's a beautiful little bottle. It really, really is. And the idea is you can pop them in your bag and carry them around. And as I say, they are extract de parfum, so they're incredibly concentrated, incredibly long-lasting, incredibly strong perfumes. Not cheap though. That's the other. The main drawback with this, I think, this is £90 for a 30ml bottle. So that's a big ticket for a small amount of liquid. So if it were to be competing with Aventus on the cost front, they're kind of in the same ballpark. So it's not a bargain by any means at all. But the performance is absolutely astronomical. You get a huge projection and then a massive sillage. The trail that this perfume leaves around you is awesome. It really follows you about everywhere. really, really good. And it lasts a good 10 to 12 hours, which instantly smashes its Aventus competition out the park. The performance on this is, it's biblical compared to Aventus. Really, really, really good. So anyway, back to the fragrance. When it opens, you get the bergamot, you get the most crisp, juicy Granny Smith apple note that it's just sharp. Everything in this fragrance is sharp, it's defined, it's natural smelling, it's potent, it's powerful, it's delicious. You know, you can really almost taste that smell. It's stunning. The only way from, and what I love about it is this takes you on such a journey. This finishes nothing like it starts, which I'm really impressed with, because it takes you on a wonderful journey all the way. The stages are all defined, and you can feel them coming in. Every kind of note that arrives announces itself beautifully. It's a work of art. It really is a work of art. I was trying to describe this to someone the other day, excuse me, and I look at this, if you could imagine a fragrance is a room. So if you think the smell of Vespero is like a beautiful living room with a massive open window, and what you'd have is some chairs, some furniture in the room, and bright light coming through in the morning, which is the opening of the fragrance. Everything in the room is now illuminated by the light, and as the day goes on, the light gets brighter, the chairs and everything has more sunshine on them, so they become more visible, more vibrant, more obvious. Then as the day goes on, the light starts to fade and the room starts to get darker. Just like the fragrance, it does start getting darker. Through its long, long journey, it then becomes darker, the light becomes less obvious. Everything is still there. Nothing has moved in the room. The notes in this are still there. They're just changing. The light is affecting them. They're getting darker. The smell is getting darker. And then what happens is it starts to get a little smoky. The leather becomes more pronounced. The amber's there. The woody notes start to come into play more. And as I say, there's a smoke that kind of arrives, and the leather starts to dominate. The patchouli sits behind the leather to give it a bit more depth. It just stays with you forever. Such a great journey. I thoroughly recommend this. It's a work of art. It's going to be quite difficult. I don't think you can get samples from them. Maybe you can, I'm not entirely sure. We went straight in and got a bottle because that was the way to do it. It's just, you have to, if you're a fan of Aventus, if you're a fan of Tuscan leather, but you want something more interesting than both of them, then get this. This is absolutely wonderful stuff. Truly, truly, truly niche. And I recommend that you get into a store, if you've got one near you, to try it, because you need to experience this yourself to understand why we love it so much. It is a wonderful, wonderful fragrance. And, I personally prefer it to, well, I really, really prefer it to Aventus. It's a lot more interesting than Aventus. It's got so much more going on. The note definition is better. And again, I love the Aventus DNA. I'm not a fan of Creed because of how they make Aventus, but the smell of Aventus I really, really do like. I've got, nothing but, sort of thumbs up for Aventus to Creed for making Aventus. It's an important perfume. The quality control with Creed and the batches are my issue, and I think it's a bit unforgivable when they're selling a perfume that's so expensive, that's just so hit and miss. I really, really don't like that. I don't think it's fair. With this, don't worry, you've got perfection in a bottle. All right, it is a 30ml bottle, but it is incredibly potent. It's incredibly strong, incredibly long lasting. This is a work of art, and I will say masterpiece here. Beautiful stuff. Listen, thank you very much. I'm sorry that this has been so gushy, but I haven't got a bad word to say about it. If it costs less, perfect. But I appreciate that this is an expensive fragrance, and it's a treat, and it should be worn as such. It's only a 30ml bottle, so I don't wear it very often, but when I do wear it, my God, I enjoy wearing it so much. And I think, like with my other sort of love affair, which is Nasamoto's Pardon, that's another one that's a 30ml bottle. I don't wear it very often, so it makes any occasion that I do wear it a very special one. So listen, thank you very much for your time. I hope you like what we've done here today, because this is a really, really important fragrance to us, and I hope it becomes one to you too. So listen, thank you very much for your time, and we will see you on the next review very soon. Take care. Oh, just quickly, the next review I'm going to do will be for Alexandra Fragrance's Tuscan King, which is their take on Aventus and Tuscan leather. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of review them one after the other. because they both do kind of similar things but in very different ways. So please look out for that one, and we'll see you soon. Take care, cheers, and bye!